feel like it's only been a couple hours since I was sitting right here, but no, we're excited about where we are, and obviously a massive week coming up for us with the biggest game of the year on Wednesday against Georgia Southern, who's man, their schedule. I looked at their schedule before we got here. It is. They played 3 home games and 6 road games. That is just not fair. But again, they're playing really close games. Lost 2 on the road last week, and then a 3 overtime loss to Georgia State. So they're right in them, and they're a good team. We're going to take them seriously, but we got to make sure we're ready to go, because this last week for us, I thought. We weren't as sharp as we were the week prior, and that's what my focus will be, is get us in the right place.
Coach, how did the schedule adjustment has that altered how you guys have prepared or anything like that?
Yeah, it was actually a little bit. I don't want to say more difficult, because we survived it, but it just something I wasn't necessarily ready for, and I don't know if I would have done anything differently, but it certainly changed our week, right? So instead of having yesterday completely off, we're going to have to halfway do stuff today, because you got the 2-day prep for Georgia Southern. But I would have front-ended those days off, right, if you knew you were playing Friday, Sunday, which is all okay, and it's all the same for everybody. But yeah, I'm just glad we were able to figure it out. But it definitely changes routine. Made some of my choices. Like we would generally always do a shoot around for a home day game, and we didn't for the Coastal game just because of legs. It's another hour on the floor. So I got some old heads, man. I got some old kids, and I'm trying not to, as much as you're going to get into shape and you're going to feel good, I'm trying not to unnecessarily use their legs. And still, we got a group that's still trying to get better. Like, we're going to play today with Alana Poole and Laura, and I feel for them, because I think they can help. Like, they could help a lot of teams in our league. They could help us. It's just you're playing behind some pretty experienced kids too. But the schedule change was weird, and it did affect us, and it will affect today. It's still affecting us. Is, I guess, my point is, it still affects our prep for Georgia Southern.
Talk a little bit about you said on postgame last night that you didn't have any doubt last night that
Never
you
in
were
doubt.
going to win that game.
Never in doubt.
But that comes with the trust you have with your team, doesn't it? That's what that's all about.
Yeah. It just, when we mentioned it, I came to him in the beginning of the fourth quarter smiling like, "What, you don't like a little competition in your life? Come on." We've been here before, right? And I don't want to be there. I don't want to be down whatever we were 5-4 going into the fourth, but we've been here before. You guys know what to do, so let's do it. Right? It's time. But their eyes believe that, right? And that's what I do think. It's the trust from me. It's the trust with each other as well. Hearing Peyton, hearing Rowe in the huddle. Come on, we got to defend. Here we go, Jamia. Right? They know what it is. They know what the formula is to kind of close it down, and we've done that. But again, I don't want to just rely on that, right? Because yes, sometimes you're going to do it, and sometimes you're going to hit the back of the rim, right? And but I think they trust each other. I think our buy-in and our trust is growing and continuing to grow, and it's certainly easier to buy in and trust when you're winning. Right. But, we will be, there's going to be adversity and there's going to be challenges. I just hope when it gets really hard, that's when you're really tested of how well you can stay together, how well you can keep trusting each other.
You even mentioned this, I think, last week or the week before, when we've talked about Bree quite a bit, and you even said that, we talk a lot about Bree, but not as much about Zakiya. Can you talk about Zakiya a little bit more, go in depth, and kind of what she's meant for you guys this year?
Yeah. And, if she was sitting right here, she would not be pleased with how she played yesterday. But the value of what she is unmeasurable for us. And she, to me, is a one-person press break that we needed. And that's not throwing shots at anybody else, but it reminds me of the speed, the turbo that she's got. Reminds me of like a Muff Mickens type of speed. And I know she of course made some mistakes. Everybody did yesterday, but she's been steady. In fact, I was looking at the Georgia Southern game. She played, that was, I thought, her best game all year. And you know what? I'm still learning her too, because she gets a look sometimes where she's processing, and she gets almost a stare, and she's processing with her own mistakes or her own battles. But her value, it's just unmeasurable, and it's floor game, it's tempo, it's defense, and I know we'll get her offense going better than it is right now, but that's not what I measure her by, right, is scoring baskets. I measure her by how many times can you get Peyton an open three? How many times can you get the ball to Susha? Oh, wait, it's really hard to press us, right, because of you. And I think she brings so much value to us. And I do think sometimes a little underappreciated, I think, right, because it's easy to appreciate Peyton when she's, double-doubles and Susha and Rowe and Bree, right? Bree gets the run-out steals and stuff. So it's like, I think there's a part of her that gets underappreciated, but she's really elevated our play overall this year.
You mentioned Georgia Southern. You played them one time, got them here. Talk about them a little bit and what concerns you with what they do.
Yeah, dangerous, very dangerous. They've got their leading scorer is Nicole Gwynn, who has played us 3 years because she played at Queens before she went to Georgia Southern. But yeah, really good guard scorer. They've got a couple different guards that can score. They got a couple different posts. Their post really hurt us last time we were here, and we allowed them almost 70 points, which is not what anybody wants to do. Now, we scored 85, but they've got inside-outside. They're tough. I think they'll throw us some zone, which I feel good about now because we've got so much experience with it. Marshall threw us so much zone. They threw us zone. Even Southern Miss. So I feel pretty good about that. What we've got to do is come and not be dull, right? We got to be sharp because of what we're chasing. And regardless, right, you're going to somebody's house that is hungry to beat you and is trying to prove themselves. So we've got to have the right mentality going down there. And I do think we'll make sure we got the right amount of legs, right, and rest. But they're tough, and I want our team better understand that too, because I think it's one of the hardest things to do in a conference season is to beat somebody pretty good at home and then go back on the road, right? If you beat somebody on the road first, I think it's a little easier to come back home because you have those advantages. But I think it's always the toughest to beat them at home, especially by a decent margin, and then be like, hey, remember, they're good. And it's like, yeah, coach, but we took care of it. No, nope, you're at their house now. So that will be the challenge. And I hope this week – with the Southern Miss performance and the Coastal performance that we understand that and we can be mature and understand how well we have to play to go beat somebody at their house.
Is there anything new you learned about your team these last two games?
Yeah, I think the Southern Miss game taught me a little bit of what to guard against more because I do think in conversations with them after Southern Miss, like why were we disconnected? Why wasn't this working? Some of them were like, yeah, we looked at them and we weren't like, ooh, this is the best team in our league. And that's what I learned is like, I didn't think we were going to do that. But I learned that we did that. We made some mistakes and we were able to like dig down and find a way to win. So a good thing there. But, yeah, I learned that. That would be the biggest thing. The Coastal thing, coming back in the fourth, it's not something new for me. I know we're capable of that, but we can't ever get to the point where records determine how hard we're going to play or like it's not who we're going to be. And it's hard. It gets to be a long season, and so I know you go through ups and downs of I'm going to be really ready for this one. No, but what we're trying to build is you're ready no matter what because of us, not because of the opponent. And I did learn that a little bit from what I was going to say Wednesday's game. It's Friday's game. We played that game on Friday. But yeah, I would say that, Travis.
You've been earlier in the year just talking about Neil and what it means to have him back on staff and his high basketball IQ and just how he kind of challenges you and makes you think differently. Now that the season's kind of been underway for a little bit, Is there like a specific example you can highlight where it's in a timeout where you're like, wow, like that is really valuable? Maybe that something where he kind of drew on from the WNBA, where it's really an experience where you're like, wow, that maybe had an impact on changing game plan or strategy in game, or even in a practice, or really anything really.
No, I mean, look, what he's very good at, and I don't know if I have a wow moment, right? But what he's very good at is like when I'm coaching a game, there's a lot, right? Subs, there's what are we calling on offense? If you get caught up in like watching Bree beat the press, you don't want to, you can't do that, right? So like you've got to go. He's really good at sifting through all that, and it's like he doesn't necessarily give me, hey, run this play. It's like Susha's killing, get the ball, Susha. Susha's killing, get the ball, Susha. And it's like it helps me like, okay, now, that's a nice little like we call it angel on your shoulder, right? It's like he's just like a little reminder of like, oh yeah, she is doing a good job yesterday. Let's get the ball to her, and we could play through her a little bit. It doesn't have to be her scoring, but I thought she did a good job yesterday of that. But that's like right, and it's like I thought against Southern Miss too. I thought it was more of he was like, look, I think Jamia's got good eyes right now, right? And it's like, okay, give her an opportunity. So out of a timeout, we gave her an opportunity. She ended up getting a basket. So that's kind of what it is. It's not like some epiphany type of wow, right? It's just a kind of helps clear your vision of what the purpose you're trying to play with is. And maybe it's P's hot, maybe it's row, right? It's like, and look, he's not right all the time. So a lot of the time I tell him no, but like he's more right than wrong, right? And that, as an assistant, I remember that. I remember Kenny Brooks rejected me. You get rejected 85% of the time, but those times that's your job. You're throwing suggestions, and one might click. And if it does, it feels great. But if you're an assistant and you're not ready to get rejected, you got ways to go here.
I don't know if it's the same analogy, but I hear golfers oftentimes with their caddy being like, I'll give you one mulligan or one chance to like override me. Is that kind of like a similar thing with Neil?
Funny.
Like, is it like, does he get his one or two?
No overrides. But no, he like it's just that's what he does really well. And each assistant has their own real positives. That's one of his. It's just he's not saying run, hang loose. He's like, hey, Susha's hot, get it to her. They can't guard Susha inside, or something along those lines. But that's what he's done really well for us, and it's valuable, right? And similar thing to it's Coach Razor's birthday today. Shout out Coach Razor. But similar, she'll be very clear like that staggered is killing us. We got to change how we're guarding the staggered. And it's like, what do you want to do? She'll have an idea, and I might be like, nah, we can't do that, right? What was that for? It was for Coastal the first time. She was like, can we switch the top of it? I was like, I don't think we can do that live game. We need some prep time to do that. But that's kind of it's very similar, right? Like Coop was great last night because we were cranked up early with the refs. And you can see there's one call. My daughter's watching a game with me last night. All four of us are like this when they make a call. And I can't remember if it was Bree's foul maybe. It was right in front of our bench. And it's like, and Coop's sitting down. Like, stop it. And that's what she did last night was like, everybody's got to stop whining to the refs. I'm going to say another word. Whew. Everybody's got to stop whining to the refs. That was close, Kurt. That was a close one. But that, like, everybody's got to roll with that stuff. And so it's I really like that part about the staff is like, yeah, Neil's that little, mostly offense, clear, hey, this is what's working. Get back to that. It might be like, hey, high ball screen, right? Something that simple. It just simplifies.
You mentioned yesterday after the game, one of the big things is just your team's mental resilience, not using you only get 1 day of prep as an excuse when Coastal can get 3. How big is that as a culture building block, not just for the team right now, but for the freshmen like the Angelas and the Lauras, to be able to kind of see what it takes to see these veterans be able to kind of not use that as an excuse for when it's their time to shine, they kind of know what to do. Yeah,
massive. And, I think of the ones that can play, right, Alana and Laura, but, like, I think Delilah, her learning curve right now, she could be playing high school basketball right now. And she's here. I told her last night, I was like, that's a pretty awesome environment, right? And she's, but, like, yeah, I think learning and watching, that's where there was progressions. I know they want to play. I know they do. But, like, you can gain a lot from this. And seeing what that is and seeing what leadership and maturity looks like and seeing what buy-in looks like, because you have to have that to be good. And I hope they're learning. I don't know exactly what's getting inputted, but I can watch those kids getting better every day, and struggling. And it's okay to struggle. And I wish it was the case, man. And Kirby getting inducted to the Hall of Fame is a great example. I mean, that kid scored 31 points her whole freshman year and stuck it out and got better and learned and like Alana Poole can do that. Lord, those kids are working hard, and Delilah too. So it's good for them to struggle. It's also really good for them to see what it looks like when your back's against the wall and how together you got to be and how together we were. I think it's a good point to make.
Coach, you mentioned today's Nicole's birthday. You talk about family atmosphere, and then coming up, I think on Friday is Coop's birthday.
Woo.
So you got a couple of them. Do you guys do anything particularly, out of the rhythm when you have a birthday with somebody on your staff or with your players?
Well, Neil's really pushing for the $3 margaritas today. I don't know about that, but no, it's hard because I think throughout the season. This is how I see it, and whether I'm right or wrong, okay? But, like, there's so many different birthdays on so many different style days that if I take Corey out for his birthday because we have a day off, and then your birthday's on a game day, I can't do the same thing. So we certainly mention it, celebrate that, but it's very rarely an event out or something along those lines.
Oftentimes, free throw shooting becomes a topic of discussion when it's not going very well. But your team right now is 75% leading the Sun Belt. Yeah, it's also one of those probably that doesn't want to be talked about when it's going well. But I'm gonna break that myth here. It's interesting though, as you look at the Sun Belt Conference, you have to make, I think, 2.5 free throws per game in order to qualify in the top individuals. So the only one in there is Susha, who is probably, if you look at the percentages, is like number 8 or 9 on your team. Yeah. So speak to how that is impacting the success of this team, and has there been anything that you have done technically or in mental preparation? Have you brought in Dr. Bob, with shooting free throws? How does that work?
No, and good question, but I don't believe in you're exactly right? So if we go to the line and we're 4 for 18, Charlie King will be texting me like, it's terrible free throw shooting. What do you but it's almost, I don't believe in putting more emphasis on it because you know how to shoot a free throw, right? Like now Susha was one that she went through a stretch. She went through a very poor stretch, and the way I was like, stop thinking about it, like less is more kind of thing, all right? I use the example, if I tell Dave to don't think about a pink elephant, the first thing that's going to pop into his mind is a pink elephant, right? So, like, it's the same. I don't want to miss this layup. That's just not the right mentality. So I tried that with her. She did not like that. She's a high achiever. So for her, it was like, text me every day, make 100 free throws, and text me how many it took you. So she's done that every day. But it's different for everybody, right? I think one person that's really stood out to me how well she's improved is Anna Goodman. And I'm not trying to jinx anybody, but like has done a great job. We've never talked about it. She's just grown. I think has a really good mindset with it, and has done a good job. The only time we practice free throws at this time of year, and it's quite often, but it's right before we do a walkthrough. So that's this week. It'll be the day before Georgia Southern, and then Georgia Southern shoot around. Same with the day before ODU, and if we do an ODU shoot around, we do 5 minutes. They rotate and they compete at both ends, and I think that's. In a way, that's your pressure free throw, right? Is like you're trying to make as many in a row as you can as a group. So this group's got 14, this group's got 12, and I give them a little punishment like a push-up or, if you had 2 in a row and that's your highest and they had 20, I might give you 10 push-ups. But it's like a fun little competition. That's the only thing that I put emphasis on. And I don't know. I guess it's working. I think sometimes shooters shoot and it works better if you got a clear mind.
I want to go full circle with you because I know you're recruiting Bree out of high school, right? Mm-hmm. Now you kind of have her now. What was that moment like when you landed that commitment finally? How was she able to, gel into the team so fast? Because did your prior recruiting kind of help her?
Yeah. And you know what? I'll shout out Ian Caskell was in there with her a long time ago, and he kept saying when she was young, freshman, sophomore, it was like, I think you're really going to like this Bree Robinson kid. And then when Ian departed, Neil jumped on her quick and was like, man, this kid is awesome. And so we tried, didn't get a visit the first time, and then when she transferred, I remember the moment I was thinking about it last night. And the reason I was thinking about it last night was like what I told Bree when I wanted her to come here was like, come here and I'll let you play through your mistakes. And like that's what she's doing. And she's not perfect, right? She turned it over late, but like she's playing. She went and got a layup right after that. It's like you're playing through your mistakes. So I was thinking about the moment where she wrote her commitment on the board is what she did. But I was thrilled, and I think Bree is not only a program kid on the floor, but she's really a perfect program kid off the floor, right? Where she wants to do all the right things. And I think that is as valuable for us here as on the floor. Like, yeah, on the floor always matters, right? You know, but off the floor here matters just as much to me, right? With the culture we're trying to build and the family atmosphere that we have. And so she's been as good as advertised. Even though she'd probably argue me, she'd probably be like, I didn't make every shot I ever shot this year. She chases perfection like that.
Yeah, so in terms of the Saturday game, and I at Buford for Old Dominion, it's kind of done a lot of things well for them. 4 assists per game, 6 rebounds, also 2.6 steals per game. And they're a 6-3 team in the conference. Just talk about Buford and the team as a whole.
I'm gonna give you this one, but I want to state it, everybody. I'm not looking at ODU before Georgia Southern. So Georgia Southern, when you're watching this, I'm not looking past Georgia Southern. Okay, I figured there'd be at least one question about ODU because it's the rivalry, right? And it is Saturday. And I won't look at them until we finish the Georgia Southern game. But you know enough about the conference now, just because I've probably seen ODU play, I bet you 6 of their 9 games I've watched just because of the opponent at some point in time. And they're good. They're exactly the programs that Coach Milton Jones has built, right? They defend man-to-man most of the time, and Buford's great. They got Kelsey Thompson from South Al. They got the Fields kids coming in. So, like, they're going to be good. That's going to be as advertised, right? But we got the biggest game of the year Wednesday, so we'll get to that one first. But I appreciate your question. Hard for me to answer, though.